My Aunt Rose. Warm, genuinely loving, grew up on a farm with her 10 brothers and sisters. Authenticity. No poo-pooing, no downplaying. I'm here to bring it back. No making it go away or ignoring or pretending it didn't exist over COVID. We were extra reminded of how important our farmers are. And even before COVID, we should have known that. They make our food, and it takes a lot of work. And that's a piece of my bloodline, of which I'm very proud of, and wanting to redirect everyone's eyes, as they should be. Frank Cantor, Philip Cantor. During her twilight years was not the time to press her about your inheritance. Children and grandchildren ultimately have to pull themselves up by their own bootstraps, even if there is a little bit of an inheritance. Would love to reunite with the daughters of her other son, Jackie. Would love to reunite with Crystal and her sister, though they too may be committing at moments to not speak to each other. Seems to run in my bloodline, this extreme kinds of thinking, which is cruel on an emotional, psychological, and spiritual level. You work out whatever you need to work out. You meet eye to eye. You sit for coffee and you do it. Part of life is drama. Part of life is having difficult conversations, and sometimes very difficult conversations. It's the mark of a grown-up. It's the mark of an adult. It's the mark of more of an evolved kind of person versus camping out throughout America, particularly in California, land of camping out, and never speaking again. No, 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 no. Bad, evil, satanic, cruel. Philip Cantor, there in Raleigh, North Carolina, would love to spend time with your children, my second cousins, and relate without competing, and arrogance and haughtiness. There should be a sense of teamwork versus a climbing and reaching to be arrogant or haughty. We need to get rid of that mentality because it's not sexy, it's not healthy. We were supposed to be a team. A team. Remembering the word team. If you open up to your bloodline, there would be a surge of energy that you don't feel while you're not opening up. And not opening up is disrespectful to Grandma Ida, and it's disrespectful to the lineage that brought us here, and it's disrespectful to our Creator. And no, Phil, I have no interest in Baha'i. I'm hoping someday that they have women in leadership, perhaps, but I have no interest in them. From what I sense, they're a little bit of a cult. I have no interest. Good for you for having enthusiasm, but they're a little cultish. That's the vibe that I've gotten from them, and don't want to have any involvement with any kind of cult whatsoever. Frank Cantor, you brought a pedophile into the home that I grew up with, and you did it several times. I was around, I think 14, 15, 16, maybe even younger. We should be able to have a civil conversation without you running away and throwing a temper tantrum. We should be able to have a civil conversation without you running away and throwing a temper tantrum. It doesn't matter to me that you were friendly with actors and actresses like Chevy Chase and Glenn Close. Doesn't matter. In fact, after many years, I've started to realize that for the most part, we shouldn't be worshiping Hollywood at all. They're not really our heroes. We should be worshiping people in the military and our fire department. They are heroes. They lay their life down for this country. And they don't usually ask for appreciation, of which I would like to step forth and render again and again. Your wife, Emerald, is a writer, perhaps well-known, Latin American. Again, she, over time, for whatever reason, maybe because she felt like in order to go to Harvard, she had to be haughty or arrogant. It's a mask. She never needed to do that. When I lived in Boston for many years, in my 20s, all I ever dated were men that had gone to Harvard and Yale and Princeton and Oxford and McGill, many of them coming to, I forgot MIT, many of them coming to Boston for a semester or two from other places in the country, if not the world. High levels of intelligence usually people of high levels of intelligence don't sit there and try to be haughty and arrogant. That was not my experience in dating many men there. It's more like they have a great curiosity for learning. Super great curiosity that may never end their whole life. I appreciate Latin American culture. I love some of their music maybe even more than they do. Swear to God. Swear to God. But here in America, we're all equal. In fact, I almost want to say it's a universal law. That culture is no more important than any other culture. There's all kinds of cultures. She should have taken the time to learn about your culture and spend time in it and study it and maybe cook different foods from it. And you should at least be fluent in Spanish. That should have happened many, many years ago. It's really strange that you married someone but didn't verse yourself in her language, if that's... You didn't verse yourself in her language, which I would have done if I married anybody from any country. I'd be sitting there trying to learn the language. It's a sign of respect, but it also has to go back in the other direction. When my parents came to visit, she would take her hundreds of millions of brothers and sisters and lock them in a separate room, which you allowed. You shouldn't have allowed that. That was disrespectful to your grandmother. Grandmother Ida was disrespectful to your mother. Your mother had 10 brothers and sisters, which led to 100 people. Our goal should be reconnecting with everyone over time. And what you don't know is that I've tried to reach out to several of those people, and they seem to be definitive about never reaching out again in the history of the world, which is weird and dark and satanic and evil on some level. It's almost like they're all holding on to nuggets of upsetness that may have happened many years ago. None of them are perfect. They all make mistakes. They all have to allow room for grace and forgiveness again and again. But anyway, coming back, the thing that I haven't let go of is the fact that you did bring a pedophile into the home that I grew up in. You did bring this Mark sedan, as though we're driving a sedan, into our home, and you said that you liked the way he shot. So I'm kind of wondering, all by myself for years, since I can't have a civil conversation with you, your brother, it's incredibly weird. It's almost like you all break down and throw temper tantrums, and then that's your way of shutting down freedom of speech, which we do have here in America. That's your effort to do that, but you can't do that because that's not the law. Anyway, you brought him into our house several times. Nobody should be siding with you. They should be siding with me and asking you questions as to why you did that. You brought him into our house. I was like, I think I was 14 or 15 or younger. And he came back to my house the next day dressed in a white suit with balloons, asking my father for permission. You're kidding. I mean, you're kidding. This is what you associate yourself with. It doesn't surprise me that you have friends in the Hollywood industry, because ever since Jeffrey Epstein, we've all throughout the world have been made aware that many people in that industry, which seemed glamorous, is not so glamorous, and it's dark and it's ugly, and it is appropriate to push back against it and ask questions, even if you stand alone, because obviously I'm standing alone. I'm standing more alone than any single person in the world at this point. My grandma Ida, yours as well, had 10 children, which led to 100 people. We should all be a team. Anyway, going back to Mark Sedan, he came to our home the day after you dropped him off, and he asked my father for permission to marry me, and then, which was really weird and creepy and definitive and of his pedophilic tendencies. And then he called me not long after to say that he was working on a photography piece with an older woman, and it was going to be nude and semi-nude, and was I interested in participating? Frank, come on. You were supposed to be a protector. Your job as a father was supposed to be as a protector. That was your job. You had one job. It's supposed to be as a protector. The word protector. Remembering the word protector. Anyway, I'm not beyond this. And this is where we're stuck, because you won't answer, you run away, your brother won't answer. Philip Levine in San Jose aligns himself with you at the moment. He won't. It's like we're back in high school where you can't talk to someone who's not friends with the other people you're friends with, which is really weird because they should be on my train and not yours. Mark Sedan is a convicted pedophile. I looked him up years later. He was arrested for soliciting a 12-year-old. It is not inappropriate that I question this in front of all of yours, in front of your children, your grandchildren, Phil, his children, grandchildren, Phil Levine in San Jose, his children. I don't know if he has grandchildren yet. And I stand here alone doing it. And it's almost impossible because I have no family whatsoever. And it's weird, and it almost suggests a genetic imbalance. It almost suggests a genetic imbalance. This is sick. And all I know is that I've tried to do work again and again and again to heal through Tai Chi, Tibetan medicine, meditation, yoga, having doctors, the finest doctors you could possibly have as naturopaths who did acupuncture and homeopathy. I really try to heal. Anyway, I hope forces higher than me and people in the universe help me with this peace, because I'm having difficulty, severe difficulty, navigating it on my own. And yet I would like to reconvene with all of you and move on and move forward with my bloodline, which is appropriate.